Hi everyone, welcome to the May 2021 edition of Farsight's Human News, the remote viewing news forecast show that tells you what is going to happen, not what did happen. I'm Aziz Brown. I'm sorry we are a couple days late with this forecast, but my father, Courtney Brown, director of Farsight, broke his leg. Yep. As he always does, he jogs 4 to 5 miles every other day, but he always starts out jogging backwards for about 1,000 feet to help strengthen his frontal leg muscles. He has done this my whole life. But this time, the sun was out, it was a perfect day, all the neighbors were out, and they started to wave at him. Feeling like an Olympic runner crossing the finish line, he looked back at them and waved, soaking up all the adulation. Well, within a blink of an eye, he tripped on his own 2 feet and had a serious tumble. He did the emergency room thing and now is back at home. I flew back to Atlanta to take care of things, so here we are. A bit late, but better late than never. Now, before we begin, let me tell you about our next major remote viewing mysteries project that will be coming out on May 15th. Friends, this is a real surprise and really important. The domain. That's right. If you saw our project on the Galactic Federation of Worlds, you will know that the military capabilities of the Federation are not by themselves enough to defeat the oppressive forces of the old empire in this galaxy, which is primarily composed of reptilians and what we call the Orions. The reptilians and the Orions are the ones who are secretly oppressing humanity on Earth right now, and in fact, using this planet as a literal prison. This is basically a standoff. The old empire has been responsible for what amounts to a holocaust in this galaxy, and Earth has served as a prison for that old empire for a long time. The Death Traps project at Farsight has begun a process of discovering how the prison system works to keep people on this planet life after life. Mental conditioning is key to the workings of the prison system. If the people wake up and discover what happens to them, the prison system breaks down. Well, there have been enlightened moments on this planet nonetheless in the past, and one of those moments was when the ancient Vedic civilization in the Himalayas developed the Sanskrit language and spread the Vedic hymns. Sanskrit is a strange language, especially for a language that is so old. It is one of the most advanced languages in terms of consciousness. Joseph Campbell claimed that there is a precise word in Sanskrit for every subtle aspect of consciousness. Today, the Vedic hymns are often thought of as stories about ancient, real happenings. But I suspect that they are actually fictional stories that were actually originally used to teach the aspects of morality and consciousness to children, essentially fairy tales. Anyway, we wanted to find out who started that stuff long ago in the Himalayan mountains. Whoever did it had to really understand consciousness and spirituality in ways that normal humans would not yet have understood. So, we did a project on who started all of this. Well, as it turns out, we found out there was actually a facility in the Himalayas, one which housed a group of very unusual extraterrestrials. Moreover, this facility was not very well defended and was brutally attacked and destroyed by a different group of extraterrestrials who seemed to have come from the old Empire forces. Well, what we discovered very closely matches that which is written in the book Alien Interview by Matilda O'Donnell McElroy and edited by Lawrence R. Spencer. In that book, the former military nurse Matilda O'Donnell McElroy describes how she was a military interpreter for an alien who survived the Roswell crash back in 1947. The communication was telepathic, and she was apparently the only one who could understand the alien. The alien was from a group known as the Domain. We did a lot of investigations that I won't go into now that dove into things that are discussed in that book. We find the book very credible, but I will say that the Domain is not part of the Galactic Federation of Worlds, and they are really different from other groups in our galaxy. They stand apart. Well, we did a full project on them, starting with finding one of their battalions in the Himalayan mountains thousands of years ago, the battalion that was eventually destroyed. It seems that they were responsible for starting the original Vedic hymns. Moreover, and this is important, they potentially seem to be a possible ally in our struggles to break out of the planetary prison system on Earth. On May 15th, you will see an official Farsight investigation into the Domain, and more. You will see. We used remote viewing to interview the head of the Domain in this galaxy, and we asked him all sorts of questions. He is fully telepathic, and we went into his head and asked him all sorts of stuff. 6 remote viewers, all working independently, all getting the same answers. It is a daring Farsight project, one that you really need to see. May 15th, in 2 weeks, only on farsightprime.com. Friends, Remote viewing is not something that is just cool to do, and perhaps one could become good at this if one worked at it long enough, like a parlor trick. No, it is not like that. Remember, when you see Farsight remote viewers doing the light-up procedure, where we turn ourselves on like a light bulb in front of the subject to see if the subject can see us, we do that in many of our mysteries projects. Well, we are not trying to see if the subject is an advanced extraterrestrial. There is no such thing as an advanced extraterrestrial. You see, in the past, each and every one of you could communicate telepathically and see things across time and space. You were all advanced extraterrestrials. You could remote view. That is to say, before you came to Earth. Or, actually, before you were thrown into the Earth prison. Before people are born here, they are exposed to an amnesia system that was set up by the old empire. It is like a spiritual version of electroshock treatment. We went into some of this in our Death Traps project, and this amnesia system damages the person. It is comparable to giving someone a spiritual brain injury. So, ETs who can see us when we remote view them simply are people who have not been zapped by this amnesia system. And that is all we are trying to find out when we do the light-up procedure. You see, ETs don't have to learn remote viewing. It is what they do normally. They don't store the memory in their heads of what they were doing thousands of lives ago in distant places. When they want to remember something, they just point their consciousness to that time and space and perceive it directly. This is how long-term memory works, and that is what does not work with people on Earth, and is exactly what you used to do before you got zapped. And that is also why we want you to understand about remote viewing, why we want you to learn how to remote view. You need to learn at least the basics of it. It is for everyone, not just the special few. And it has nothing to do with developing the skills to perform a parlor trick or superpowers. Learning how to remote view is equivalent to spiritual rehabilitation therapy. Imagine someone who experienced a physical brain injury and is no longer capable of using their arms or legs. Depending on the extent of the damage, the person may go through rehabilitation therapy to relearn how to use those arms and legs. It won't happen by magic. The relearning process is needed. Rehabilitation therapy is needed. It is all about remembering how to do something that is natural to you in the first place. Getting out of the prison is largely about regaining the normal abilities that were taken from you when you were injured. Well, this is part of what either I or my dad will be talking about at length in the Farsight intelligence briefings this month in May 2021. The other part of what I will be talking to you about in the intelligence briefing is how to have 1 million year memory. The intelligence briefing will be live streamed on YouTube and available as permanent recording on farsightprime.com in about a week. But there is more coming this summer, much more. Starting this summer, Farsight will engage in public negotiations with the Domain and the Galactic Federation of Worlds. I know, a lot of people will say this is nuts, but heck, they are the ones with literal spiritual brain injuries who can't see beyond their own noses. You see, we at Farsight have spent a long time relearning how to use our natural spiritual abilities. We know what is possible for everyone, and telepathic communication is definitely possible. But also, since the Domain and the Galactic Federation of Worlds are tech-savvy societies, they obviously have the ability to see what we put on the internet. So, the negotiations will take place on the internet for all to see. We at Farsight don't believe that such negotiations should be held in private. That is what US presidents and other national leaders did when they sold out humanity to oppressive ETs who still control so much of humanity today. Secret negotiations that served this planet up to them on a platter. And now, humanity has to break free without the help of highly compromised national leaders. So negotiations should be held in public, especially with such sensitive topics. Let the mainstream dismiss us. Let anyone laugh who wants to laugh. None of that will make this any less real. We will do these negotiations in our pearls starting this summer, 2021. Look for it. These negotiations will extend throughout the summer months. No more secrets. By the way, we have a large collection of free instructional materials on our website and YouTube for remote viewing, including extensive audio and video lessons. Plus, free printed materials. Moreover, for people who want to personalize instructions on remote viewing with a live instructor, PrinCess Jeaneé and Trudy Benjamin are experienced instructors who are teaching our version of remote viewing. Understand that when Princess and Trudy teach remote viewing, no one at Farsight gets any financial benefit from this. Princess and Trudy do this entirely on their own. And now, an update on our SECO project, where we forecast cryptocurrency adoption performance over 5 years. We just published a preliminary analysis of our results, and you can find that on our website in the navigation bar under Past Forecasts and Analyses. We consider this a highly successful project so far. We will also be ending the SECO project after December of this year, 2021. It is becoming increasingly difficult to isolate the good coins amongst the thousands that now exist, and we have done the best we can to use remote viewing to find ones that we think will survive and thrive into the future. So instead, in early 2022, we will be adding new forecasts for cryptocurrencies and other things to farsightprime.com for our subscribers. That is something to look forward to. The identities for SECO forecasts already completed will not be included in that, since those are and were sold separately. Now, on to human news. Let's start by summarizing what happened last month with our April Human News program. What is interesting for April is that the remote viewing news reports are highly varied for the month. That normally means that no single major event would be dominating the news in April. Thus, we should expect diverse stories of varied events. Well, that is exactly what happened in April. Starting with a report by Melena, she reported on an event that involved extensive flooding. Interestingly, PrinCess Jeaneé had a report of earth movements that resulted in similar damage. Both earthquakes and floods hit the news as major events in April, but that is not too unusual in the spring in the Northern Hemisphere. Kahmia reported on a mass shooting, a terror event. Unfortunately, April had lots of shootings in the United States. There was a FedEx shooting on April 15th that occurred in Indianapolis, where 16 people were injured, 9 dead, and on the 28th of April, 5 were killed, including 2 police officers in a shootout in Boone, North Carolina. The list of mass shootings is too long to list here, but we can say that such events were very much in the news in April. In my own session, I reported the launching of a rocket from what appeared to be a military ship. Well, the U.S. military launched its new C-RAM missile from the USS Charleston in early April. It is an important event for the U.S. Navy. Trudy Benjamin reported on a serious drought situation in April. As it turns out, California experienced record-breaking drought in April, which makes me wonder what will happen as the summer progresses in California. When the summer turns up, the heat and the fire season starts in earnest. So, we got what we expected. Lots of varied events, with no single event dominating the news for the month. Now, moving on, our next Time Cross episode will come out in a few days, and the topic of this mystery is the mystery of Pueblo Bonito in Chaco Canyon, part of a large collection of ruins in northwestern New Mexico. So, stay on the lookout for it. And again, how do you hear about these things so you can participate in getting the latest when they happen, including our live streams? To start with, we use our email list and YouTube to make our major event announcements. So, there are 2 things that you need to do. First, you need to subscribe to our YouTube channel and remember to click the notifications bell that appears after you subscribe. That is the only way that YouTube will notify you of the new events, especially our live stream events. Just subscribing doesn't do anything. The notification bell is the important part, but that only notifies you of things that we release on YouTube. To be notified about the things that we release on farsightprime.com, which you can watch using our Apple and Android apps or on the web, you need to subscribe to our free email newsletter found on our website at farsight.org. You can also allow our apps to notify you of our new releases on farsightprime.com. Be sure to do all 3 things. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Farsight, and remember to click the notifications bell, and then subscribe to our free email newsletter that you will find on our website. And finally, go to the settings of our app and allow it to give you notifications of our new releases on farsightprime.com. The links for YouTube and our newsletter are in the description area below this video. And the app is, well, it's on your phone. Those are how we announce what we do. We never send out spam, and we never give our subscriber list to anyone else for any other purposes. Remember, we could always be wrong, and all remote viewing sessions must be seen as experiments, not a certainty. But look for the data for yourself. Make your own decisions, and then watch the month roll out and see what actually happens. We have 6 remote viewers who participated in this month's project: Kahmia, Dunson, Melena, Rock, Arkie, PrinCess Jeaneé, Trudy Benjamin, and myself. These reports are amazing to watch. It is best if you just watch them yourself without me trying to explain them in advance. So let's begin. I will return after all of the reports are presented to help pull everything together.
Starting off, I've got irregular topography here. I hear a lot of man-made sounds as well, okay? It sounds like a lot of subjects just kind of rushing around, nothing really planned or, focused gatherings in a way. It just feels very like everyone's kind of living their own lives. There's a lot of structures here on the bay surface. There's like all different types of structures of all different types of shapes and sizes. This is very much so a city in some degree. So just random structures everywhere, and there you go. Okay, so bam, city, bam, irregular topography in the background, subjects inside and outside on the bay surface of these structures here. I see a lot of white, greens, blues, just natural colors, and like blacks, man-made surface, man-made objects. Everything here is man-made besides this kind of irregular topography going on in the background here. Yeah, so another visual that I'm getting here, it looks kind of like I'm inside of some sort of room, or I'm in a covered space area. And inside this covered space, you can see the outside. So it looks like there's some sort of window or open doorway that you're able to look out of. And then through that doorway, through the windowway, you see the structures outside, and you just see just kind of everything else going on in the background. Just looks like a city view, you know what I mean, of inside some sort of structure. And then in here, I also see kind of like rows, almost as if it was like like a wedding hall or something, like an outdoor wedding of some sorts. Kind of looks like little rows, people would sit in them, so it kind of just looks like this. Backing out with like a view of the city in the backdrop, right? City's going on in the background, and then there's just like rows of seats here. So this is kind of something else that I'm seeing. At the same time, it's very loud, it's very noisy, a lot of man-made sounds. I hear this kind of popping sense in a way, and it just feels slightly chaotic in a way that like maybe a lot of things are like happening in a very secluded area, but kind of around that area, it feels kind of just like life is happening, and it's in like, an everyday kind of way. Okay, now I'm sensing that there is a target subject here. I see someone that seems to be just like kind of chilling here. But I see like something leaving them super fast. They've got something in their hands, and something's kind of shooting out super fast, if that makes sense. And I see like other subjects kind of in the background. They look like they're kind of scurrying away, or like leaving the general area. They're trying to get the heck out of here, right? And this subject feels like they're like a big amount of energy, force, a menace almost to the other subjects around them. So yes, I do sense a lot of kinetic movement from this subject, and they do have something in their hands that is hard and man-made. So they seem like they're either directly outside of a structure, or like in like the corridor doorway of a structure, you know what I mean? They definitely feel like they are in like an outdoor, indoor kind of area in a city of some sorts. And then the last visual that I'm getting is another visual of just kind of the general area. I see these irregular topography in the background, and it kind of looks like a wave of land or something on some sort of like border maybe, but there's like structures everywhere over here. Okay, I see the structure. Let me change the colors. Structures there, here, there. They just seem to be kind of scattered about, but close together. And then just something over here that maybe is a change of topography. It doesn't necessarily feel like water, but it does kind of feel like a distinct sort of line between maybe the city and like another area. Draw some more just because we can. Okay. So just that kind of area, that sort of thing's happening, and then it just seems like it's covered in some sort of smoky clouds, you know, cloudy outside. Okay, so now focusing in on the target event. I'm in an area that kind of looks like this. It looks like it's a covered space, you know, maybe like a tent or a gazebo, you know, something like that, or a big structure that kind of has the openings along the outside, something that doesn't have doors, okay? So it's something that looks like that. There are many subjects here, but there is one subject here in particular that feels very different, and the subject feels a little lost and angry. Mentally, they feel like they're not doing so hot. They do have a man-made object in their hand, and it does feel like subjects are fleeing from them, running away from this subject. Around the subject, I do see, like, it does look like there are subjects laying on the floor, laying on the ground, and they don't necessarily feel like they're here with us anymore. So it does feel kind of like these subjects are dying, and it just feels kind of sad. It feels like time standing still, and it feels like everything's happening in slow motion, and it almost feels like you don't believe what's happening as it's happening. Like, it's just, the feeling is leaving me speechless is all I'm going to say. I feel like this subject is very angry, hurt, scared. The subjects around him are scared. This subject looks like he has more of like a round-shaped face and a little bit of hair on top of his head, and it looks like a darker colored hair, and he looks, you know, just like a human. Doesn't look anything crazy. Looks like a normal person. But yes, pale skin, male, older-ish, but not really. And then it just feels like this guy is just not there all the way. Like, it just feels like this guy's like having problems. I also feel like this very sharp pain in my chest and in my back. So it feels like just like being hit in the chest. And I feel like subjects here are being shot in the chest. And it's just so painful. It feels like there's a lot of pain here at this target event. So moving past that, I think I'm going to focus in on the target subject here. This subject feels very dark and dangerous, and it feels like they are not necessarily like a good person. It feels like they've had kind of dark thoughts for a while, and maybe today's the day they snapped, and it's just, that's kind of how it is. They feel very emotionless. They feel very like, when I mean just like if a dark force had taken over them, that's how this person feels to me. There's a sense of cloudiness and haziness around this subject, almost like they are like drugged out of their mind or something. You know what I mean? Like they just don't feel like sober and normal here. They feel like something is altered in their mind and in how they choose to go about this. And then just another thing about the subject that's kind of peculiar is that the subject feels like it's like he's a secret. It feels like he's living a double life, almost like you would never expect it though, right? Like when you find out your really nice neighbor is Ted Bundy and a serial killer, okay? It's kind of like how the subject's feeling. Just in the sense that they have like a double life, and it feels like something about them is like this huge secret, and they feel like they're protecting that secret or something like that. And that's just kind of something that I'm feeling from this subject. And then just focusing in on the target activity again real quick, make sure I found everything. Again, it just does feel like this feels like some sort of focus gathering, like these people were here for a reason, and then this subject kind of came in and like scattered everybody, shot some people, because I do feel like, again, that pain in my chest is just so strong. It feels so sharp. It feels like I've been impacted in my chest, and like through my back, like a through and through kind of shot type of energy is how I feel right now from this subject. The activity does feel very detrimental, sad. I see a lot of blacks and whites and reds, and just overall it feels very devastating here, and the subject feels not in their right mind, drugged out, something, and it just feels like they came and terrorized a really good get-together, a focus gathering that obviously the subjects were all pretty good before the subject here decided to show up. And yeah, that's all I have for this target.
For my first visual, I see subjects outside. A small crowd of subjects doing some strange activity outside. Everyone looks kind of happy. There's like flat foliage around the area. And there's this large structure here at the top. Not too big, but it's like a wide, flat top structure. I'm getting a white color, a white structure. Glass on the side, like glass windows. A lot of light, full energy here. These subjects always come together in this area. Group of subjects look, it's a mixture. I'm getting young and old. Subjects in head of this structure are a bit old. In my other visual, I'm seeing these other subjects. They're wearing all white, going towards this same structure. There's few subjects around. A feel of fearing these subjects here. These subjects in white are not allowed around this area. These subjects are against these subjects here. Almost like a horror movie. Two subjects, both different. They worship the same thing. It seems like some type of worship gathering. But something's gone wrong here. I'm hearing a lot of loud noises and screaming. Smell of smoke in this area. Inside the structure, there's loud music, a lot of clapping noises. It's like this gathering here. But outside, is more of a disturbance going on. These subjects in all white are trying to, I'm getting a burning down or a big fight, doesn't like what they're seeing, a lot of ignorance being like yelled, a lot of loud, harsh talking, and like this, I'm hearing a lot of the same thing being repeated. It sounds kind of weird, but I'm hearing a repeated noise like a chant. And there's like vehicles in front of this structure. A lot of subjects are crying and crying for help, and other subjects that are in this all white and have this white skin tone, and there's other subjects with them that's not wearing that. Looks like almost security or some officer. I'm seeing like red and light color, like a siren, like it's a whole, it's like a lot of brutality and destruction here, but it's physical though. Feels like a street fight almost. These subjects that are inside the structure and outside, they're very spiritual and very loving, happy people. It's like almost a terror attack here. It's like they're being terrorized in this area. And this area looks very country, flatland, very old style area. Overall, this area and the structure looks like a church.
All right, Rock, I want to thank you so much for joining us here on Human News for May 2021. Can you believe it's May 2021?
I can't believe it.
Yeah, it's amazing. Anyway, so what we have here is a session which you have done. This is forecasting events that we expect to happen in May 2021. So why don't we start with your S4 page 2? Is that okay?
S4 page 2. Okay, that was I call it Artifact 1. It was very interesting. I saw this profound bright streak across the sky, and that's been happening more regularly than irregularly, but this thing has some type of unique signature, and my detail says arcs. The notable stuff, it arcs across the sky. It's like some type of neo, bright, but has a very distinctive signature outside of the falling rocks that we've seen before, and really that's all I picked up. But it was impressive.
Actually, looking at your picture that I'm seeing on this monitor here, it's not exactly clear it's falling up. It might
That's exactly right. It wasn't falling down or falling up. It
falling
was
up or
going across.
Yeah, it's not like, is it falling up or down? It's not exactly clear if it's going up or down, or just saying sideways.
That was the unique aspect of it. It was moving laterally, without descending or ascending so much. Maybe a little bit of ascending versus descent.
Well, okay.
We'll see.
We'll see. What do we have on the next? It's circular, though. Also, the shape of the thing is circular.
Yeah, it's different shape. Different, very interesting.
Okay. All right, what do we have? Well, going to page 3 of S4, I hope that's not the same thing, but you tell us what that is.
Well, I picked up this massive debris signature on the water near a coastal area, and there's another. We'll get on down through the pages here, but something that might be a corollary, and I probed this, and is it a plane? Is it a ship? No, it wasn't a plane or a ship, but then I had a distinctive other object downstream here that could correlate, and it seems that we've had even some news to that effect. We'll see, you know.
Yeah, we'll see. Now, the audience, you should not make the mistake of thinking that the image that we had, that Rock has on the previous page of this object flying through the sky, like blows up and that's the debris. That's you. All he's got is two separate images of an object flying across the sky. That's going to be part of the event or events, and this debris field on land looks like next to water, like a coast. That's another thing, and they may or may not be related, those two things. All right, well, what do we have? Well, this is interesting. Page 4 of S4. What do you have there?
So, you know, as I took another shot, what came into my frame of reference was really just a deployment of, like a military deployment, a night deployment of men and machinery, people falling out of planes and parachutes opening. It was like a massive troop movement. And we've seen aspects of that happening across the world right now, so it's not unusual.
No, there's a lot of that sort of looks like conventional type of stuff, where you have paratroopers. Clearly it looks like paratroopers jumping out of airplanes.
That's what it was as far as I picked up, yeah.
It could be a variety of things. In terms of what we see in the news now at the end of April, it could be something dealing with Russia and the Ukraine. It could be something entirely different in another part of the world entirely. But you have a couple images now of things in the sky, and that seems to be an important thing. And also debris or some type of debris field on the ground, and now you have what looks like military activity with paratroopers. So some type
At
of
night.
Yeah, well, let's go to the next page.
Yeah, so the next page I have a submarine, and it's interesting. This is the second picture of the submarine. The first picture I drew, it was a submarine, and I changed the picture. I don't, you know, as I reflect on it, I probably shouldn't have changed it, but I had a somewhat distressed submarine with the last third of the submarine, the aft end, in some kind of distress. Now, I don't know if that correlates with the debris field.
Where is that? Where is that picture? Is that in your plate?
It's not. No, it was eradicated as I was going through this. I said, no, I don't. I was just.
Oh, so you edited it out. You edited it out. You're not supposed to edit stuff out, Rock. But yeah.
I know that's
okay.
That's a cardinal rule, but.
Yeah, we are human. We are human, and sometimes we edit it out. I don't like the look of that person. Cross that face out.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or actually, you know, and Dick used to coach me on this as well. I'd get something so bizarre, I'd go, well, that can't possibly be, and it ends up that's the most important part of or aspect of your remote viewing. So
the audience,
we do second guess ourselves in the background.
The audience should know that the conscious mind will never reject its own stuff. So if you look at the remote viewer, looked at something and says, that's crazy, I'm just going to get rid of that, that doesn't look right, that means the data did not come from the conscious mind. That means it's good stuff, it's good data usually. So yeah, when the conscious mind says nah and rips up the page, that's the page to die for. So
I'll tell you straight up, I had a damaged submarine in my first iteration. There was some distress in the rear end, and
of course, we have just gone through that. A distressed submarine that broke into pieces and went to the bottom of the sea in Indonesia. So, and that happened, but that happened in April. But it's still.
It's forward. It was forward of my remote viewing. So.
Yeah. That happened after this session was done. Yep. But it's not technically in the window for May, but it might have been something that you just picked up because it was such a powerful news story. It might have leaked the time boundaries.
You know, my own opinion on that is I tend to pick up these heavy emotional, you know, signatures of mayhem, or because they have such a heavy signature, right? When some disaster
Actually,
is
if you
happening.
if you remember your sessions for the January 6th incursion on the Capitol, you were picking that stuff up almost identically over and over, month after month. You had the Ospreys coming in, and they came in exactly as everything looked exactly as it was on January 6th, but you got it a whole bunch of months, and it kept repeating. The same stuff kept repeating.
It's
And we were wondering,
that.
like,
Yeah.
isn't this going to happen already? And then finally it happened, and then it stopped. It happened, and then you didn't get those images anymore.
You're exactly right. And we had these discussions where it seems like over a period of several different sessions, they're stacking up to provide the storyline, you know, of these future events as they unfold. And they're not necessarily connected initially, but when you look at the string of remote views, they do tie together. And I just find that amazing.
It is amazing, and now at Farsight we usually try to control that to a limited 1 month forecast. But you learned from Dick Allgaier, and Dick Allgaier allows a wider path of pickup. So he's of a belief that when you do these future things, it doesn't necessarily is the first 30 days, but it could happen 2, 3, 4 months and into the future. It's a different approach.
I think we have higher resolution. I think we have higher resolution the closer we're to the event.
Yeah.
I've found that, you know, that through practice, it seems that if we're in a 30 or a 45 day window, it's pretty accurate, but that can be, you know, on the inside or the outside of that session.
Yeah.
You know, not necessarily a 30-day timestamp. Yeah.
Ultimately, this is controlled by the approach that the remote viewer does. So Rock has that larger time window approach, and the remote viewers that do SRV, they have that strict 30-day approach. And so it really there's going to be variations depending on the approach of remote viewing that you come from. And but anyway, that was really fascinating when January 6th actually happened, and all the stuff you had seen going back so many months finally happened, all in one day, actually 1 month. That was fascinating to watch. Okay, let's get back to this session though. So you got a submarine, and in an edited out picture, you had the submarine with some type of problem. So maybe that will still be something that comes out in May. We'll have to wait and see. You got a lot of other what appears to be military activity, so you never know. Something may happen with the submarine. Okay, so let's go to page 6. What the heck is that, Rock?
This was an impression. So we have an urban area.
Okay, so this is page 6, S4. Okay, go ahead.
Correct. So an urban area, a concussive event that deals with a truck explosion, you know, with casualties, a mayhem, if you will, but it's associated with a large vehicle, and you know, whether it's a terrorist incident or some other type of reason for the explosion, there's an explosive or concussive incident that I picked up that does a little damage within an urban area.
Yeah, it looks pretty big explosion. It looks like it says your truck explosion, some type of concussion with casualties. Okay, well, what do we have in the next page, page 7 of S4?
Well, let's go to page 8. I had both page 7 and page 8 are the same depiction, and I was like struggling with this. I'm going, why? Do I do this again? Do I just draw this again? And I said, okay, I'll just draw it again. And so in the first depiction, I have the basically the same layout of a heavy building that in my conscious state, I'm associating the visual to be like something like the Supreme Court building in Washington, D.C., but there's a lot of tremendous amount of attention focused on that building, and the fact that it came up in two tiles here as I'm going out and doing a view was instructive to me. Like I really didn't probe to find out, okay, what is going on, but you could sense that there was it was like a sense of gravity within that building. Like there's a tremendous weight and a tremendous attention being laid on that body that work, the people that are there, the Supreme Court, etc. Symbolic.
Now it's a symbolic.
It's like the Supreme Court.
Yeah, it's like the Supreme Court. So Rock is not saying that this definitively is the Supreme Court.
No.
There's something that reminds him of the Supreme Court, and it does. The building does look Supreme Court-ish. So, but the interesting thing from my perspective is that this image was strong enough that it came back twice on 2 full pages in S4.
Yeah, that's sort of unusual when you get that, you just replay that image. You're asking yourself why, but go ahead and do it.
Yeah. Why? Why does it come back? Seems like maybe it's important in some way. Okay, let's go to page 9.
So page 9 is just, I saw a large coastal area that was inundated with water, and we have that all over the world constantly. But what was interesting about this is that there's, not only is there inundation of water, there's a tremendous stench or rot or effect of that water in this area, whether it's casualties or whatever. It was just like it had more of a deleterious effect on the coastline in the inner inhabited areas than that was what I picked up. Quite a bit of damage.
That sort of matches a lot of the other images that you're getting, so it does seem like there's sort of a common theme across all of these. Something's happening along a coastline that is very significant. And if the paratroopers actually come down near the coastline, that would be connecting that as well. Okay, let's go to page 10. Now you got to explain page 10. Where does this lady come in?
So I've got a life human female, becomes a center of attention. All eyes are on her. She seems resolute, and I depicted this sort of beefy female.
Yeah, she looks strong. I mean, she
something.
looks muscular.
Yeah, looks muscular, drawing attention, and drawing quite a bit of attention. There's a lot of energy that's
so. What would possibly happen next?
Her.
What could possibly happen next month? I wonder if this could have anything to do with the Caitlyn Jenner thing of wanting to run for governor. I wonder if that has anything to do with May.
I don't know, but like I said, in drawing the depiction of the picture, I don't, I'm no artist, and so it just came out however it came out, and I was just.
Well, she seems like she has broad shoulders.
Reeling. Broad shoulders, right. Center of attention.
She does have hair like Caitlyn Jenner.
Tan or dark complexion, yeah.
Tannish, yeah. Well, we'll see. It probably has nothing to do with Caitlyn Jenner, but nonetheless, it's an interesting picture. We'll have to see how that fits in. Okay, on S4 again, we have page 11.
Now, on page 11, I picked up what I would call out as a large military-type facility that has something that is active, that is really important right now, that is at the center of not our attention, but at the center of activity. And and I think there's a bunch of antennas on the lower buildings, or maybe more, but I picked up, what did I say, remote buildings, a base of some sort, very energetic.
Now, is that energetics with plural energetics or just energetic?
I highlighted that there's just a bunch of either communication or emissions or energy radiating from this facility. So
The facility doesn't seem destroyed or attacked.
no, it's not destroyed or attacked. No.
So somehow this facility is important in the game plan for whatever's happening in May.
Right.
Well, okay. You're going to have to explain to me page 12 of S4, because that's the last page of the 7 of the session.
Oh, I was delighted at this. So I'm like, I'm just, I'm getting through my last tile, and I'm going, oh my goodness, what the heck is this?
It looks like my boogie board that I use on the beach when I
Yeah,
fall
well,
on.
it
when I-
almost looks, it's almost like TR3B like, but it wasn't TR3B like, which I said, okay, whatever I'm representing here is what I'm seeing. But what I picked up was a large, like, anti-gravitic craft.
So this is
with
a non-surface.
unique-
It's a non-surface structure. Is that right?
non-surface craft with a unique energetic signal around it, and then
That's
depicting
interesting.
it
And it does not have
as
wings.
I see it.
Rocket does not have
Nope.
wings.
Nope. Silent hum. What else did I say there? Like energy signature, slow movement.
Well, I wonder if that means something sort of SpaceX-ish, or if it's a UFO alien type thing.
I think it's more of the UAP type, actually. You know,
The what kind of type?
what do they call unidentified aerial phenomena? Is
Yeah,
the,
okay,
the
okay.
alternate to UFO, right?
That's isn't that Elon Musk looking out the window though on the picture? I'm only joking. I'm only joking.
What's unique about that is the sensation of the radiant around the craft, that sort of weird visual that
Yeah.
I think is a unique signature to the anti-gravitic activity.
So it did feel anti-gravitic.
Felt very anti-gravitic.
Okay, well that would rule out SpaceX. Okay, now Rock, this is interesting. Do you have anything you want to add that you think might have been omitted, or anything you want to think about this
Yeah,
session?
we can go. There was one thing that I did omit that was sort of curious, and it's over there on the weird pile. But if you go back to S2, that last tile in
S2.
S2 that I picked up.
S2.
And,
That would be.
S-
Are we talking
S2.
about which? We have two pages for S2. Which?
Right. Well, there's one page for S2, and you just go
Oh, I see. Then you have Playfair for the other one.
Playfair, yeah, and then S2. And if you go down to the last tile in S2,
Yeah, what's that about? That's page 1 for S2. What's that?
So what I had was a very large energetic signature in the ocean with surrounding ships that were interested in that signature or what was going on in that specific area. So if you were to look at the picture, it would look at, here's an area of interest, and here's a bunch of ships surrounding that large area of interest in the ocean.
That's interesting, Rock. Huh.
So that's worth bringing back up. Yeah.
So that energetic thing that's in the water is surrounded by normal type of human ships.
I mean, if you go to the S3, if you were to look at the S3 picture and you can blow that up, it's between one of the it's in the S3. It's I
At the top.
depicted
Is
this
at the top.
between. Yeah, it's between the thing in the sky and one of the iterations of
The Supreme Court looking building.
Supreme
Yeah.
Court-like building. So there's a big thing happening with ships around it in the ocean.
Yeah, well, that's interesting. Actually, it's not a bad picture for S2, your first page of S2. That's not a bad picture. Okay, well, Rock, this is going to be fascinating to see how this turns out in May. We're going to have to wait and see, just like always. That's the thing that's so fun about this stuff. You do this stuff, and then you really don't have a, if we did 5 more sessions on this, we could knock it down to sort of identifying exactly what's going on. But with one session on this, there's a lot of information. It makes it really fun to wait for the next month and see what happens.
Yeah, and a lot of times we do pretty good.
Actually, the record for this whole human news has been excellent, and your record has been extraordinary. So, Rock, let's just wait and see and have fun during the month of May as we watch.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you, Rock.
I'm in a very natural environment here, lots of wind, structures. There's a lot of water nearby, or some water nearby here, movement. I'm sensing a city off in this direction. Mountains, plural, multiple mountains, foliage, lots of up and downward situations. I'm sensing something very heavy energetics as well. Yeah, there's a lot of energetics here, and an odd looking mountain-esque terrain, irregular terrain, with land, foliage, structures, water here, boulders or rocks, maybe ice, I can't tell. There's fire moving rapidly, lots of movement. I think I hear helicopters. I'm going to deduct that. I'm hearing a loud sound. Very windy, smoky, cloud dynamics, rocky. There's what appears to be a non-surface structure here, and I don't know what this is, but it's attached to the structure. I smell saltiness or dirty water. Maybe it's not super fresh. There's a structure that seems very important that's in the center of the town. It's being destroyed, falling, breaking movement. And I'm seeing what it looks like is a mountain on fire, but that doesn't make sense. That's a deduction. But I'm seeing a peaked, inflamed like situation. There's a lot of cloud dynamics and energetics casting over the city, over the structures. There are subjects running, screaming. They're kind of like, no, running, screaming, or panicked. They seem to be very frantic, panicked. Very fast-paced movement, back and forth. I'm hearing splashing sounds or water-like sounds. Like, I can't make the sound with my mouth, I just tried. Very loud. There's fire, energetics. I hear sirens, blaring sounds, honking sounds, loud voices, flashing lights, subjects. They're just trekking back and forth. Something terrible is happening here, has happened. Smoke burning on hills and mountains with subjects collapsing. Some structures are hurt, very, very badly hurt. There is something very very detrimental happening here. I see bright lights, subjects with these rolling objects that make me think of some stretchers going uphill, deduct stretchers. But that's what it looks like to me, like stretchers going upward, or something long moving objects moving upward. Both up and down, just chaos all around. This is not the best situation to be in. It's like something blew up, blew up a structure, like an experiment gone wrong. Moderate temperature here. There is a lot of commotion on the base surface. I don't want to say desert-like, but there's foliage, very natural environment with structures, non-surface structures, also structures on the base surface, hard, rocky, I feel dirt, hard, rocky dirt textures. I also feel grass, dry. Water is near. Brown, dark hues. There is life, subject life, human and animal life. There's also death here. And the subjects here are wearing very, very casual clothing. There's a lot going on, just a lot of movement, a lot of energetics, a lot of chaos, a lot of just wind, cloud dynamics. And like I said, I see a fire, heat, smoke, subjects that look like they're abruptly leaving a structure, and I smell gas, like there was a leak of some sort. Like a massive subjects are just, they are hurt. They're hurt very badly here. It's whatever's happening or wherever I am is giving me these cramps and a shortness of breath, dry throat, dry mouth. Yeah, bad. Whatever this is, it's really bad.
Here in this environment, there's a man-made land surface with man-made structures. There's multiple structures. There's lots of movement and energetics coming from the structure in the center of the target. It reminds me of explosion sounds, like fast upward movement, energetics coming from the center of the middle of the structure. And there's lots of movement in front of the structure as well, in one direction. I'm noticing the temperature in the center of the target is very hot. I'm sensing fire and heat. There's also smoke and burning from the energetics above. I continue to hear multiple subjects on the inside of the structure, specifically subjects on the top of the structure. I'm sensing help is needed or someone's stuck inside of the structure, and I'm sensing this explosion happened on purpose, like it was intentional. The people that created the explosion, very few subjects. I'm sensing male subjects. Sensing the male subjects being at the top of the structure, like they're waiting for someone or something. I'm also sensing loud sounds from subjects below, down the base surface. The smells, these chemical smells, I continue to smell lots of smoke and burning. I'm going to move to the subjects that are on the top of the structure. There's a big fire in the center of a structure in the middle of a city. I'm noticing multiple structures. The structure is very old. Noticing it's wide and long. I continue to sense multiple subjects on the inside and outside of the structures, like a focused gathering or a crowd. Lots of energetics moving upward, and this man-made structures, I continue to see the color gray and dark brown. The subjects around this structure, I see lots of black hair. The temperature is very cold outside, but on the inside of the structure it's very hot temperature. The smoke and the burning coming from the sensor of the target, I continue to sense chemical smells, like it was like an explosion that was made with specific chemicals, but it's like I continue to see the cloud of smoke isn't very gray, it's dark, like colored black. Smoke is very black and the air doesn't smell very clean. I'm noticing lots of cloud dynamics. And the subjects on the top of this structure, sensing male subjects. I continue to sense like revenge emotions. I continue to sense that they're focused on someone that's inside of the structure specifically. I'm sensing there is another male subject that they're focused on that's stuck inside of the structure. So I'm noticing a set of subjects. There's a leader on the inside of the structure that I'm noticing is older, and he's waiting for people to come out, like he's confused. He's watching the activity in confusion. I'm sensing his hair is very gray and short. He's a human subject. He's alive. And he's a bit mean. I'm sensing he's intellectual, but he's really rich and like stingy. I keep thinking of that word, stingy. But the subject on the inside, he's not leaving. I'm not sensing that he's ever left the inside of the structure while it was on fire. I just continue to visualize him walking around in confusion. Like he's trying to help people, but he's not leaving no matter what. There's subjects on the top of the structure that are causing this target event on purpose in revenge of this guy. I'm noticing they don't want to get caught. They're like at the top of the structure, creating the chaos, creating the explosion, starting the fire. The fire starts at the top of the structure. And I continue to sense chaos of subjects trying to leave the outside of the structure. But this primary leader of this structure is stuck inside on purpose, like it was intentional. I'm sensing death in this target. I'm also noticing that was intentional as well. The subjects at the top of the structure are masked. I keep visualizing two male subjects on the top of this structure. I'm sensing black hair continuously and just lots of masculine energy. The object that they use to create the explosion was man-made chemicals. I continue to visualize two man-made objects, very few. And also the subjects at the top of the structure actually do end up staying alive and being caught at the end of the target. I'm noticing that they're anxious and they were told to do this. Like, they weren't getting revenge for themselves, it was revenge because someone else told them to create this chaotic event. But I'm sensing they are younger than this leader subject. The accents and I'm not sensing English accents or English languages from this subject, but these two subjects are trying to stay as silent as possible, and they're doing something really quickly, and they're not trying to be caught. The subjects on the inside of the structures, so I think the building has something to do with keeping subjects inside, like a business. I just continue to see lots of black hair and pale skin tones. The subjects that are dying in this target, I'm sensing there's very few. And the person or the leader is one of them. The leader of the structure that's stuck on the inside is one of the subjects that do die in this target. The sabotage that these two males wanted to create was not because it was because they were told to do this. I continue to sense someone's telling them to do everything at a specific time in a specific way. But the intention was to sabotage this person, the leader.
Okay, so here we have a subject, and he's got some hair and an ear. And so this subject is standing here, and he's in an urban environment. So, I mean, this is pretty much a normal dressed looking subject. So let's just have this guy right here, and yeah, so he's just a guy. And then we've got this urban environment here. Let's draw some structures. I'm gonna switch pens actually for a second. So we got this structure over here, Well, these seems like windows actually, so. Great, okay, so subject, structures. So yeah, it's an urban environment. That's basically what I'm drawing out here. So we got lots of structures around and lots of vehicles, it seems like. I'm seeing a lot of vehicles. So I'll try to draw some circles over here so you can see that these are wheels on vehicles. So lots of vehicles and then lots of other subjects that are sort of just moving around. I mean, it's an urban scene. So this is basically the first visual is this urban scene in this urban environment. And here we've got this subject sort of just looking out. And yeah, this is the general gist of what we're looking at. And it just seems like a modern, regular urban environment. So let's move on to the next visual. Okay, so I'm getting a lot more vehicles. So let me just draw some of the bigger vehicles up here so you can see a better image, because I will not spend too much time drawing out all of these vehicles because there's a lot of vehicles. So, all right. So here are some vehicles, more vehicles, more vehicles, more vehicles. Okay, we've got this sort of curving road, and I want to say this is a bridge, to be honest, because it just seems like a bridge, if I'm being honest. And then we've got a huge array of foliage. It just seems like this is all foliage in the background. Foliage, foliage, foliage. I did get a sense that there might be some water, like way off in this area. So I'm just gonna put that there. But the overall thing that I'm seeing is structures. So lots of structures. So it's, if I had to say, there was a urban environment, and the urban environment has this long road / bridge or something, or elevated road, which I guess is a bridge, that is going that way, like off into nature. And in the backdrop here, it's seeing a lot of foliage back there. Structures, some water over there, foliage in the background, and this sort of long, twisty road that just has a lot of, like a traffic jam. It seems kind of like gridlock. You know, it just seems like a lot of cars are all packed on this road going in one direction. They're all coming this way, and there's an urban area over here. Okay, so zooming out, I'm seeing a lot of like this urban area type of place right here. This urban area. Lots of foliage surrounding it. So foliage around the urban area. I'm seeing a little bit of this sense of water over here, like this is water. I'm getting a little bit of another sense of water over here. So there's a body of water over there. I'm seeing this road that's sort of extending out into the nature, and I'm also seeing this mountain that's like out in the distance over there as well. So yeah, that seems to be the environment that we're going at right here. And I guess this road type of thing, this sort of stuck out to me, so maybe that's where that traffic jam was. I'm not sure. All right, so around this urban area, I saw some non-surface structures. That's not a big weird thing. I mean, it's just airplanes fly over urban areas all the time, so it's just let's just put a non-surface structure over here. I did see another non-surface structure over here, and I did get a sense that there was this rumbling sound. So it's like I'm seeing this energetics coming from the non-surface structure and interacting with this mountainous type of thing, and I'm feeling this rumbling sound. I don't know if these things are related, but I'm just getting this rumbling sound within the ground and a non-surface structure above it. Remember, non-surface structure, that literally just means it's a non-surface structure. That could be anything from a helicopter, airplane, or something more out of this world. Who knows? So that's really all the data that I got for this session. It just seems like that's the target event. Whatever the target event is there's this rumbling in the ground. I don't know if that's related to anything. There's a non-surface structure that's doing something artificial or electronic with regards to like this mountain type of thing, whether it's just sensing it or doing some radar thing or whatever, I don't know. And there's just a traffic jam that's going on. So I'm curious to see what's the story behind all of this. So only time will tell. So. Okay, let's draw some new conclusions from these data. May 2021 is going to be an interesting month. Each remote viewer describes a different type of event. As with our April forecasts, May looks like no one event will dominate the month. So expect a variety of different types of events. This might be considered a slow news month by people in the news media. If that turns out to be correct, then the biggest news may be what happens with Farsight in May. So be sure to watch for our new Mysteries project on the 15th, The Domain. Also, watch for our Pearls, where we begin negotiations between the Domain and the Galactic Federation of Worlds. No more secret negotiations. If deals are to be made, they are to be made in public. Oppressors work in secret, and that is not the Farsight way. So that's it for our May 2021 edition of Farsight's Human News, the news before it happens. Thank you for watching. Please also join us next month in June of 2021 for another look into the future of Earth humans. Also, be sure to look out for our new releases on FarsightPrime.com this month, including our live stream events, the Farsight ET News, the live intelligence briefing with myself, where I or my dad present Part 2 of Escaping from the Prison System. The next major new Mysteries project to be released on May 15th, The Domain, and the new Time Cross episode focusing on the ruins in northwest New Mexico and Chaco Canyon, as well as new Farsight economic forecasts. I am Aziz Brown, filling in for Courtney Brown, director of Farsight. Stay ahead of the curve, let the mainstream fade in the dust. Be there now.